Hi everybody, Rusty Blackwood here, and I'd like to welcome you to my loft. As you can see, I am set for Christmas, and this is my Christmas video, and just thought I would come on and share a little bit of time with you. It's been a while since I have, and this is December the 19th. It's hard to believe that in 6 days from now, it is Christmas Day, and from 1 week from that, it will be New Year's Day, a brand new year. I honestly find it mind-boggling just how fast the time actually goes, and that there's nothing we can do about it. We can't slow it down. We certainly can't stop it. Um, and even if we could, I really don't know if we would. Because there's always something to look forward to. And so, of course, if we stop time, we wouldn't be able to look forward to much of anything. But it would be nice to just slow it down, maybe just freeze frame it or capture it just for a little while and enjoy whatever the moment is a little bit longer before, you push the resume button and away it goes. So, anyway, I'm pretty much ready for Christmas. I have a few things to do yet, and haven't been actually getting too awfully much writing done. Like, shame, shame, bad author. But, you know, you got to have priorities too, and my family comes first and foremost, always, and then, of course, my writing, my work. But it is coming along. I am getting well on in Return to Autumn, and it's coming together. I'm doing revision as I go, so it sort of saves a little bit of time um, when I get into like the dead heat of it all in the dead of winter, and actually get the rest of it written and send it to edit and to get it proofread and get it all packaged up and present it to Telwell, and then of course the revisions begin where after it is submitted, it's in there for a while, and the designer puts the interior together and does the cover. Like, it's two different designers that does that, and then send to me for approval if I like it, if we need to think about something different, something needs to be changed or whatever. It's really a very forward process in a lot of ways. There can be setbacks, but you have to be prepared for that. And over the years, I've learned to cope with that and know how to deal with it and not get myself bent out of shape if something's going wrong, something is taking more time than what you originally thought it was going to take. But that's all part of publishing, and it would be the same regardless if it was a standard publishing house. It basically, the steps are the same regardless of whether it's standard or whether it's indie, like self-publishing. And so took me a while to kind of understand that, and to not let things bother me, and just settle down and actually enjoy the process. Um, because it can be, when you write a book, um, the creation of it first and foremost is what is the most enjoyable of all. As I've said before, for me, it's character creation, and giving them a history, giving them life, um, giving them flesh and blood, at least in my mind, and hopefully in the reader's mind when the book is published and people start to read it. They get to know these characters as if they've met them on the street, or they have known them for a very long time. I think the further you go in a book and you get to know a little bit more about the characters as you progress through the story, I think you really can visualize them, no doubt the way the author does when they create them. At least I hope so. I know as I go along writing, um, they're very vivid in my mind. The way I I see them, like when I created them, and the way that I see them, and the way that I want to um, introduce them, or the way that I want to present them as it goes through the book. And I can visualize that, with each chapter as it's progressing along. And I hope that I can project that to you when you read it. And so anyway, it's progressing along. I won't give an actual time for release, because that is because of where I am in the book. It's way too soon to project a date. But I'm hoping to say probably in possibly late May, early to mid June, somewhere in that time frame. Um, as I say, it depends very much on how things progress along and how quickly they go along, especially once the book is finished being written and then submitted to the publisher, and then it goes into its production. And there again, it just depends on how quickly it goes along. Sometimes it can be very smooth, and other times maybe not quite so. But I very much like Tellwell Publishing. Tellwell Talent actually is the official name, the proper name of the publisher. And they are based in British Columbia here in Canada. And when I did The Perils of Autumn, I did that novel with Tellwell Talent, and that was the first time that I'd used a Canadian publisher. And very pleased. I'm glad that I made that choice and went with them. And I just like the entire way that it's published, like their methods. Um, I think any publisher, in regard from the author's end of it, probably thinks or wishes that, like I'm speaking as the author here, that there could be maybe a little bit more one-on-one, more personalized communication, because sometimes that can, you call somebody and on the phone, for instance, and they would answer, and you can immediately talk back and forth if there's a problem. Well, it's the same way with the publisher, but a lot of it is done through email, and because that is the way that your manuscript is going back and forth. It's on internet. So of course you're doing a lot of your communication on internet. But of course, if there's something that is really dire and it needs to be taken care of or seen to right away, you can always, phone direct and speak with your production representative and go from there. And so today, as I say, it's the 19th of December. Um, we've got a lot of snow here in St. Catharines. Um, and I'm hoping that it will hang around until the 25th, and then, it can go away. But I mean, I really don't mind snow. I grew up where I grew up in southwestern Ontario. The winters were hard, and there was tons of snow, oftentimes by the end of October, and it would stay until way into April, sometimes even May, before it was entirely gone. And so I am used to snow. I mean, anybody that lives in Canada will tell you, and it really doesn't matter where in Canada you live. Of course, the more north you are in any province, the more snow you're going to get, because you're more north. So therefore, the temperatures are continuing to get colder. But it is very cold here, and a lot of snow. It really looks like Christmas. Um, it Up until just the last few days, it really hasn't, because there hasn't been. We've had snow, and then it's gone again, and it's gotten milder, and it just, the nice thing about fresh snow, it comes and it covers the drabness, and um, and it's especially pretty because of all the Christmas lights that uh, are on people's homes, and even my home house here. It's lovely outside to see the Christmas lights on the snow, the snow reflecting the different colors that are shining down on it. So that's really, really nice. Um, so um, this year, like each year since my mother passed away in 2015, she was 93. She would have been 94 on Christmas Day, which was her birthday. And so it's always quite sad for me when it comes this time of the year. 11 years ago, actually, I lost a very, very, very dear friend on Christmas Eve. And and so every Christmas Eve since 2008, I always think about her. And I miss you, E. And I hope that, you know, you're doing your celebration in your own way, the way you always did. And so, I too, sweetie. And, um, and for my mom, whose birthday was, as I say, December 25th, she would be turning 99 years old. It's just to think that my mom, if she were sitting here with me right now, uh, we could talk and reminisce about all the different things that she would have seen throughout her lifetime. She was born in 1921, and the oldest of 10 children, rural family, farming family, and it was a hard life. And definitely when my mom was born and growing up, I mean, she was a child in the 20s, and then in the 30s, the Depression came, and so they coped through that. And actually, my mother grew up um, across the road from my father. It's sort of kitty corner, really, and but they didn't know each other for the longest time. It's incredible to think that the families, the Beecroft family and the Weber family, lived kitty corner from each other, and yet no, um, both my grandfathers knew each other, of course, but both were farmers, and and of course, farmers helped each other back and forth with their farms across the road or next door or whatever needed being done. And yet no, Dad didn't know my mom, and like for quite a while, and then finally they met, and you know there goes from there. They eventually come together, and you know yada yada yada. Uh, they ended up getting married and moved to London, and Dad worked over there um, for a while as a welder, and then in the war, when the Second World War came along, my dad was actually too old at that point in time, although he did say that by the end of the war in 1945, he finally did get his call to go to London to have his physical, and you know have to go. But the war ended before he had to go, and so that was, I think, thanks to God that he didn't go, because you know it's hard to say whether or not he would have come back. Um, my mother had two brothers in the war, the two oldest brothers under her, and Uncle Mel and Uncle Doug, and they each came back, and so there's every time Remembrance Day rolls around, um, I think when you have family who fought in the war, um, you think about that any time of the year, not just Remembrance Day, but definitely on Remembrance Day. You think about them, and you think about what they witnessed and what they had to go through. It was just for those of us who have never ever known that in our lives. We've always been free. We've never had to worry. And we think that, I mean, we owe that to these people that went to defend our homes, defend our land, and keep that awful, horrible tyranny from ever coming to this country. Um, we just, we owe them so very, very much, the same as all those people in those countries where it was so terrible. And we can never, ever forget what these men and women, many of them just boys and girls, what they did for us and what we owe them. And it just irks me something horrible to the way people of today, the way they just, you know, brush it off. And they they should get down on their knees and give thanks to these men and women, because if it hadn't been for what they did, and so many of them paying the ultimate price for it, these people today, their lives would be very, very different. So take it from that for what you will. But Christmas is a time for family, first and foremost, and for friends, long-time friends, and those that you don't always see all the time, but they're here, and they're never far away. And so with that, I'm going to end this video, and I'm going to wish each and every one of you a very Merry Christmas, a happy Christmas, a peaceful Christmas, a safe Christmas, happy holidays, season's greetings for different people that don't say or refuse to say Merry Christmas, but that's not me. Christ is a reason for the season, and without him, this world would be worse than it actually is right now. So, Merry Christmas. Enjoy yourselves wherever you are. May this be one of your best yet. And I'll be back. I think I'm planning to do a New Year's video, like before New Year's, sometime next week after Christmas. And maybe be in a little bit of a party mood if I can get myself in a party mood. And until then, I shall say so long for now. God's blessings to all of you. And I'll see you soon. Be well. Cheers.